Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the channel. It's time to talk about another custom roster that is available to you all now if you are on the Xbox Series S or X. However, quickly, and I wanted to showcase this too because I do not have the game for PS4. I do want to shout out a creator that I have become aware of on the PS4 side of things by the name of Glove Save Gaming, putting out very, very interesting and solid rosters. So make sure if you're on the PS4 side of things, check out Glove Save. You can take a look there, known under Glove Save Gaming. Of course, you can see the username there as well. So check out Glove Save Gaming's rosters on PS4 if you have not already done so. But today, yet again, it is going to be good friend of the channel, Snipe and Score Productions, taking center stage. In a previous video that you can watch from not all that long ago, I showcased his first throwback roster of the year, the 1979-80 version, and his new version is now live. It was uploaded this morning, and rest assured, you will be seeing content from me from that 79-80 version, and you will definitely be seeing content from me for this next one. Also, of course, I've shouted him out before. Vassie's still doing tremendous work here on the Series S, Series X. Again, my custom rosters should be uploaded, at least the first version, within the next 2 weeks. So that'll be an interesting one. I don't know if I'll catch up to Vassie's numbers for this year. Time will ultimately tell. But let me sort by. Let's go by date uploaded because it should be pretty much right there. And there it is from Mr. Snipe and Score on YouTube. Of course, Snipe and Score Productions on the YouTube side of things. We are going to download this bad boy, and I'm going to showcase everything that it has to offer because, as well, yet again, his website, throwbackrosters.net, I believe, was the it is throwbackrosters.net. He still has his full site here that gives you a full tutorial of how to use Custom League with these rosters, which again was the entire point of Custom League essentially being added in. He tells you all the settings, how you need to replace teams and all of that to make it as accurate as you possibly can in terms of fully replicating the league at the time. So make sure to check out the site as well as a perfect companion to these rosters. But for now, let's get into this. And obviously, too, with what Snipe does, you know, I'm kind of envious that he took the decision to do throwback stuff as, okay, it's same issue. You set it to active roster, but it still doesn't actually set it to active roster. GG's, EA. Love that. Make my roster active, then make his roster active. My God, EA. Why do you do things the way you do? I'm envious in a sense that I did not decide to do throwback stuff because it's a hell of a lot easier than doing modern day stuff. I gotta be honest. Not easier in a sense of it's not difficult, but easier in a sense of you know exactly what you got to do. There's no updated transactions. It's just you do it. That's awkward timing for that guy. You just do it and it's done. So I'm envious in that regard because he's able to put out more roster, you know, consistently than I am. He's also a fucking beast at this. So obviously, you have hundreds of created players. You have quite a few created teams as well, of course, for the AHL at the time. The NHL will look over all of that in a minute because, as is typically the case with Snipe's rosters, you can play with the typical provided teams or you can play with the custom teams, and the rosters are the same no matter what. So let's take a look then at some of these rosters. And I could go to custom team. You know what? Yeah, let's do that. Let's go over to the custom team side of things. So the Albany River Rats look to be about the same. So the AHL rosters are going to actually be the same. So let's go look at the NHL rosters. I'm not surprised. I mean, you can't, you know, you don't have enough created spots to make all of the AHLers. So again, as always, I will say, and you know what? Do we want to do it this way or do we want to do it at lines? We'll do it this way. I do want to point out, as always, that you have a more liberal use of X factors for Snipe than you will with my rosters. That's not for everybody. But that is the way, of course, that he has chosen to set things up. So keep that in mind. And actually, you know what? So I don't have to scroll down through everybody. We're actually going to go over to edit lines. That'll be an easier way to kind of showcase what these rosters will look like the second that you happen to download them. So the Anaheim Ducks, for example, love me some Peter Sikora. How could I not? A very young 20-year-old Joffrey Lupul as well. Again, not going to sit here and spend a ton of time for each of these teams because, well, we have a lot of teams to get to. Shout out to Chris Kunitz there as well. But like I said, certainly a more liberal use of X Factors compared to how I'm doing it. Again, I don't think that's inherently a bad thing. Can make things a little bit more interesting, especially with how this game typically plays out. Especially you talk about there's a big conversation right now on the competitive sixes side of things and the esports scene as to how much people really care about X Factors and would the game be better if you just didn't play with X Factors or only elite edges so that way the skating feels decent. Shout out to 18-year-old Patrice Bergeron. God, this team. Ooh, this team. I will say it takes a special roster for me to not just be like, I'm going to go play NHL 04 to play with this particular team. Andrew Raycroft, the man, the myth, the legend. Again, the only thing that you can't see here is potentials, but hey, what are you going to do? You probably have a good general idea of what certain player potentials would be. And it's all the more incentive for you to check this out on your own. Holy hell, the Buffalo Sabres. I mean, Drury and Danny Briere, though, that was a hell of a combination. And then you get to the Sabres defense. And then, again, you're saying, holy hell, the Buffalo Sabres, just with a different inflection. But, yeah, all in all, this is looking like it's going to be pretty damn fun yet again. Oh, the Calgary Flames, of course, the team that made it to the Cup final and, dare I say, won it but didn't, but won it but didn't. Flames fans, I'm still sorry for that. I enjoyed seeing that Tampa team win as a fan of the likes of Ruslan Fedotenko and such, but yeah, that's a wound that will never fully heal. It never will. We get a look at their defense and goaltender as well. Kevin Weeks. Hello, hockey fans. NHL fans even. Kevin Weeks. Chicago, they are going to be terrible. Because they were terrible at the time and are terrible to this day. Some things happened in between, but yeah, they're still pretty terrible. So was that defense goaltender Jocelyn Thibault, Steve Passmore, and a 22-year-old Craig Anderson. It's very weird to think about Craig Anderson as a young man, but that was the thing. That was the thing at the time. It happened. It was real. Colorado, Jesus Christ. Okay. All right. That is one hell of a setup. Shout out to Bob Bugner. David Abisher in goal. Of course, Patrick Waugh. This was the first year that they were without Patrick Waugh. Shame. Columbus with a very young 19-year-old Rick Nash leading the way for that particular team. Their defense and goal, Mark Denis. Not to elbow, Mark Denis. Okay, well, let's just keep making jokes from 20 years ago that weren't funny then and they're not funny now. Dallas, Mike Modano, Bill Guerin, Yuri Letnin, the GOAT. The GOAT. Oh, Sergei Zubov and company. Oh, Donnie Dollars. There you go, Don. Love ourselves some Don Sweeney. The pride of St. Stephen, New Brunswick. Marty Turco, Nico Kapanen. Oh, let's see. Detroit's going to be ridiculous. Yep. Yes, they are. Goodness gracious. A 25-year-old Pavel Datsuk. What is he? 23, Henrik Zetterberg. Goodness gracious. Cujo with the ability to play the puck. You'll love to see it. Take a look. Whoops, went too far. At the Edmonton Oilers, who were not terrible. God, Adam Oates, 41. Yeah, no kidding. 41 at the time. And they weren't bad. UC Markkinen's there, Ty Conklin, Jason Chimera as the healthy scratch. Of course, it is worth noting as well, he adds in prospects for the future, upcoming drafts. So season 1, the end of it in franchise mode, it will be the Sidney Crosby draft. So worth keeping that in mind. I don't know if I want to spoil all the prospects that are there. I don't know if I do. Check out Snipe on Twitter. He did share an image of just how good Sidney Crosby is in these particular rosters. The Los Angeles Kings, Robitaille, Ziggy Palffy, Joseph Stumple. John Avery was there too. Glad that he could take time out of his busy schedule of yelling at people in New York City to show up for a game. Good on him. The Minnesota Wild. Again, kind of awkward for Andy Burnett based off of what happened. Get some help. Marian Gaborik leading the way. God, Philip Kuba. Loved me some Philip Kuba. Roley and Manny Fernandez and an 18-year-old Brent Burns. Not too shabby. An 18-year-old Brent Burns. Montreal. What we got for you? Sako Koivu. Kovalev. Dick Bag. And Mike Ribeiro. But Michael Ryder's the GOAT. Boston Bruins legend. Michael Ryder. Jose Theodore. Joe Juno. 35. 35-year-old Joe Juno. The New York Islander with Alexei Yashin. Cliff Ronning. Oof. Defensively, Roman Hammerlick leading the way. In goal, Rick DiPietro. Medium starter. What was his durability? An 80. Okay. That's a little bit generous. A little bit generous, but I'll allow it. The New York Rangers. Eric Lindros and ancient Mark Messier. Jaromir Jagr at just 31 years old as well. And then a whole bunch of grit below that. Depth, what is depth? We have Jaromir Jagr. We don't need depth. The New York Rangers. Kind of sucks. I got to scroll back every time. Nashville. Hartnell, Legwan, Sullivan. Not a bad start. Kimmo Timonen, Dan Hamhuis. Brad Bombardier down there. Thomas Vokoun, Chris Mason, and Adam Hall, future member of the Tampa Bay Lightning. That brings us to New Jersey. Let's see. Brodeur and the Devils. Not too bad. Scott Gomez leading the way as their 1C. Got Niedermeyer, Rafalski, and old Scott Stevens. And in goal, Marty Brodeur, 92 overall, has the ability as well, adventurer, to play the puck, which, he's kind of the main catalyst as to why we have the trapezoid now, at least one of them. So, shout out to, if not the primary, shout out to Marty Brodeur. The Ottawa Senators. That top line is just legendary. It really is. Really, really is. Wade Redden, Zdeno, 26 years old. At the time, Zdeno Chara, Liam Prusek, young Antoine Vermette, hanging out there for the Sens. And like I said, you can use the custom team version of this, or you can just use the typical NHL provided one, same rosters regardless. With the custom, obviously you will have it kind of built around replicating their look, their logo, their jerseys, their arena from that specific time period. So keep that in mind as a potential benefit, because of course some flashback kind of jerseys from that era are not available in the game. We're talking like the Islanders fisherman jersey, for example, but I'll show off the created team look here in a minute. We get a look here at the San Jose Sharks. They haven't stolen Joe Thornton yet, of course, but they will. Brad Stewart will be a part of it. Shed tears all over again of getting the Nabokov. Scott Parker, big-time face puncher. Seattle, so they are just Seattle. We'll take a look at the custom team Atlanta Thrashers in a minute. Unless they're Winnipeg, actually. St. Louis, Keith Tkachuk. Bob Dimitra, RIP. Defensively, Chris Pronger at just 29 years old. Got Osgood in goal. Ryan Johnson is a scratch. Let's see, Tampa, future Stanley Cup champions. Vinny LeCavalier, Marty St. Louis, Brad Richards. Damn, on defense, Sador, Boyle, Kabina. And in goal, the Bulin Wall. Nikolai Hobby Bulin. Let's see, Toronto. the Maple Leafs. Sundin, Neuendijk, and Nolan's there. Oh, it's just a team that didn't go very far. Well, I mean, they did. They made it out of the first round. They went further than a lot of Leafs fans watching this video have ever seen them go before. But a legendary team for that reason. The Vancouver Canucks with Marcus Naslund, Bertuzzi, the Sedins, Matt Cook, terrible person. Oh, in goal, Dan Cloutier. Brad Mayday as the healthy scratch for them. Vegas, I imagine, is just Vegas. Yep, you didn't have to change anything about them, of course, because you don't need to. You don't need to use teams like Vegas and Seattle to replicate new teams with Custom League, which is awesome. Washington. I do believe they have the rights to Ovechkin, but he left Ovi as unsigned because obviously in this season, they didn't have Ovi. Well, actually, no. I mean, yeah, the 04 draft, Ovi must be the first guy in season 1, and then season 2 would be Crosby. That makes sense. For some reason, I kept thinking 04, 05 as the lockout season. And then Winnipeg, do they replicate? They do, the Atlanta Thrashers. The likes of Ilya Kovalchuk, Danny Heatley, Mark Savard, or if you're from my neck of the woods, Max Savad. There's Posse, Nerman in goal, Byron Defoe, Lord Byron. So yeah, that's kind of a basic look. And then like I said, if you go over to custom teams, you'll have the AHL version, but also the NHL version. And again, trying to properly replicate their looks at the time. Like I said, AHL doesn't do a whole heck of a lot aside from just knowing that teams are proper. Let's go take a look. We are actually going to go over to the creative player really quickly, and then we'll take a look at the creative team type of setup. So let's go down because Ovi won't be that far out. Also, Anze Kopitar is there as well, listed on Sodertalje as a 16-year-old. So yeah, he'll be in the draft properly as well, which again is a huge, huge plus. And yeah, first-year draft, Ovi's the guy. Makes sense. High franchise. Crazy shot, has gold 1T. So season 1, you complete that. Ovi will be there. I'm sure there's already comments about how I screwed up, and that's fine. I deserve that. And then, yeah, obviously the season 2 draft. Oh, boy, I'm not scrolling all the way down to Crosby, but he'll be there. You can see how long it would take down to scroll. There are a lot of created players. So, like I said, let's quickly take a look at the 50 custom teams that were created. And again, trying to match up their jerseys from the time, if they had alternates too. So the Albany River Rats, I mean, why not use the particular rabbit there? The Anaheim Ducks, of course, their look at the time. Like I said, you can if you want to. You don't have to use the custom version of that. You can mix and match. Obviously, their logo won't have the proper colors, but obviously the Ducks do have the proper version of the older jerseys in the game. But if you want the logo and everything to be more accurate in the team color scheme on the menu and stuff like that, then there you go. You'll have that option. The Atlanta Thrashers, of course, do not have jerseys in the game, but doing his best to recreate those. Honestly, I think they look pretty good. Those came out pretty damn well. The Binghamton Senators, who have Razor Ray Emery on them. Again, Snipe, I got to give you credit, buddy. You did pretty good. You did pretty damn good recreating these. Boston, of course, they don't have the proper template for the time. Version of the Pooh Bear, which of course nowadays, I mean, if you use the real Bruins, at least this version of the roster did not have the Pooh Bear update yet, so keep that in mind. The Buffalo Sabres, of course, with the goat head era, they're pretty well recreated there. So glad I was able to get my hands on a Darlene goat head recently. Calgary, pretty much the look. Ooh, I like the use the Kansas City Mavericks logo for Blasty. That's a good substitute. Carolina Hurricanes. And, the nice double tuck for Rod Brindamore. And a Whalers jersey. In fairness, that's more like WHA Whalers era as opposed to, like, end of Hartford's tenure. But I like it. Chicago. I mean, it's a Chicago jersey. For the love of God, they've had the same look forever and ever. Amen. The Cincinnati Mighty Ducks with Ilya Bryzgalov as a prospect to keep an eye out on. You got the Cleveland Barons, who indeed their logo was a shark with a monocle. Look up the Cleveland Barons if you never saw them. The Colorado Avalanche, I mean, it's going to be Avs jerseys, nothing too crazy. Looking pretty good, though. The Columbus Blue Jackets. Recreated. Black shoulders, not bad. Dallas. Of course, trying to replicate the legendary jersey and trying to replicate the Mooterus as well. I respect it. The Detroit Red Wings, obviously, it's going to be Detroit jerseys, nothing too crazy. White alternates. The Edmonton Oilers. Had like the rust color going on at the time. Ooh, the perfectly replicated McFarlane, though. Love to see that. Very, very good. The Florida Ice Pilots, who were a minor league team at the time. Hell of a name. Of course, you got the Florida Panthers. Roberto Luongo leading the way there in terms of rating. The Hamilton Bulldogs, of course, still exist to this day. The Houston Aeros, a different color scheme at the time. Too bad for the Arrows. The Los Angeles Kings, of course, with purple as more of a primary color at the time. The Manchester Monarchs, their AHL team. No alternate for them. The Manitoba Moose, Alex Auld, the player to pay attention to on that particular team. The Massachusetts Lock Monsters. I give you credit, Snipe, for trying. That's a tough one to recreate. The Minnesota Eastern All-Stars. Of course, the 2004 All-Star game was in Minnesota. Still probably my favorite All-Star jerseys of all time. Pretty well recreated there. And, of course, you got the Western All-Stars as well. Then the Minnesota Wild outright, which, I mean, yeah, they're Minnesota jerseys. Nothing too crazy. Montreal. Whoops. Oh, select controls. Montreal. Like Montreal. Nashville. Imagine we'll have a mustard cat. There it is. Nice job. Nice job on the mustard. It's a tough color to replicate. New Jersey. Led by Captain Scott Niedermayer. You got the New York Islanders. And the alternate. So, yeah, no Fishermen. At that time, it was already gone, but Islanders are there. The New York Rangers. I wasn't sure if he added in the Fishermen or not. You get the Rangers jerseys. The Norfolk Admirals. Of course, in the AHL. The Omaha Knights. That was also a team, apparently, with Calgary. You have the Ottawa Senators, which, of course, using the more current team, you can kind of replicate things a little bit better. The Philadelphia Flyers, which, I mean, they're Flyers jerseys, to be honest. The Phoenix Coyotes instead of Arizona. Of course, replicating that look, these jerseys are in the game. The Pittsburgh Penguins, Mario Lemieux leading the way. And again, the reason why he replicates players instead of using the Legends versions is you cannot edit the age of Legends in the game. So it wouldn't be totally accurate. That's something that we've tried to fight for. But it's a licensing thing. So that's probably not going to change. Portland Pirates, I appreciate the attempt. I miss my team so much. San Antonio Rampage. Rampage the Rampage. The San Jose Sharks. So there, look at the time. Got the Springfield Falcons. Don't like Springfield around these parts. The St. John's Maple Leafs. Leafs jerseys. St. Louis Blues. Surprise, surprise. It's going to be Blues jerseys. Tampa Bay, of course, trying to recreate their look at the time, including the attempt at the Storm jersey. The Toronto Maple Leafs, led by Matt Sundin. You have the Utah Grizzlies, also affectionately known as the Storm Bears. I like that jersey there. Mike Smith, their main man. The Vancouver Canucks, leading the way. It's Marcus Naslund, NHL 5 cover boy. Of course, we just had a video about my favorite, what I think is the best EA NHL of all time. Check that out if you haven't. Then you have the Worcester Ice Cats. That's right. It's Worcester. Don't add us. So that is it. That is kind of your your preview of what this 03-04 build looks like. Again, it gets a big thumbs up from me, and of course, you can download it on the Xbox Series S or X. And again, if there's something you don't like, hey, you can edit it. You can change it. Once it's yours, you can do whatever you want to do. So make sure to download it. And of course, once you do, go back over to my downloads and leave the boy a like. Leave a like on it and help out the fellas. Appreciate you all for checking this out. Again, appreciate Snipe for doing what he does. Wanted to do my part in terms of, getting the word out there about a phenomenal roster that is now available to all of you on the Xbox side of things. And like I said, my time will be very soon. I can't wait to share with you guys the final version, version 1 of my own files. So for now, there you go. NHL 03-04. Go after it.